$66,000. That is what the average full-size pickup truck actually sold for in America this spring. Not the loaded halo trim, the average. Cox Automotive puts the March figure at just under $66,000 in a segment that averaged $50,000 as recently as January of 2020. And while prices were climbing, something else was too. Industry trackers estimate close to 3 million vehicles were repossessed in 2025. Territory America has not seen since 2009. Put those two numbers side by side, and the internet has already written the headline. The truck market is about to collapse. Watch any of the videos saying so, and the story sounds airtight. But the data tells a more precise story, and if you are waiting to buy a truck, a far more useful one. This is not a crash, it is a correction, and corrections have windows. Over the next few minutes, we will show you where the market is actually cracking, which brand is quietly blinking first, and the one signal that tells you exactly when a buyer takes back the leverage. Start with the case for collapse, because it is genuinely strong. The average full-size pickup has climbed roughly 32% in 6 years, from $50,000 to nearly $66,000. That is $16,000 above the average price of a new vehicle overall. The truck did not just get expensive, it became the most expensive mainstream segment in the American market, while remaining the vehicle Americans buy more than any other. The financing that carried those prices is straining in ways we can measure. More than 1 in 5 new vehicle buyers now signs a loan of 84 months, 7 full years of payments on a depreciating asset, a share that has roughly tripled in a decade. Americans now carry over $1.66 trillion in auto debt across more than 100 million active loans. And the loans are going bad. By late 2025, the share of auto debt at least 90 days past due reached about 5.2%. The all-time record, set in the depths of the Great Recession, is 5.3%. Amongst subprime borrowers, Fitch Ratings measured the highest 60-day delinquency rate in more than 30 years of tracking. Underneath the credit data sits a simpler problem. The customer got priced out of his own vehicle. A carriage analysis of federal wage data found that between 2014 and 2024, the price of a mid-tier full-size truck rose 53%, while the wages of the electricians, construction workers, and tradespeople most likely to buy one grew under 39%. The truck outran its own buyer, and the sticker is only the entry fee. The average new vehicle payment now runs close to $800 a month, and once insurance, fuel, maintenance, and registration are added, the true monthly cost of running a new full-size pickup lands well north of $1,000 every month for as long as 7 years. That is not a work tools budget. That is a mortgage payment from a generation ago. Then came the repossessions. Here, one correction matters, because the most viral videos on this topic get it wrong. That 3 million figure is not 3 million pickup trucks. It is an industry estimate for all vehicles, cars, crossovers, everything. And even that number is a projection built from repossession assignments, not a final count. But the direction is not in dispute. Recoveries ran above 2 million by the fourth quarter of 2025. Lenders built for risky credit began to fail outright. Tricolor Holdings, one of the largest independent used car chains in the country, liquidated last September, and America's CarMart closed 42 dealerships in a single week this April, and buyers started walking away from showrooms. Ford's F-Series, the best-selling vehicle line in America, saw sales fall 16% year over year in February. Falling sales, record delinquency, a repossession wave, failing lenders. So why hasn't the price of a truck fallen? Because here is the paradox the collapse videos cannot explain. As of this spring, full-size pickup transaction prices were still rising, up nearly 3% year over year. If this were 2008 on wheels, that number would be falling. It is not. And the reason is structural. The American truck market is not a free market in the way the housing market was. A tariff from 1964, the so-called chicken tax, still walls out most foreign competition, which leaves full-size trucks in the hands of 3 manufacturers who have every incentive to protect price and the production discipline to do it. When demand softens, Detroit does not cut prices. It cuts production, and it cuts the cheap trims first. Look at the Ram 1500. Of roughly 73,000 new units listed for sale early this year, only about 2,200 were the entry-level tradesmen. The affordable truck is not being discounted away. It is being deleted from the menu. There is a second reason the crash never quite arrives, and it answers a question a lot of frustrated buyers are asking. If millions of vehicles are being repossessed, why can't you find a cheap used truck? Because pickups are the single most value-resistant vehicles in America. The 2026 IC Cars Depreciation Study, nearly 1 million transactions, found pickups lose just over 34% of their value in 5 years, the lowest of any segment in the market, against an industry average near 42. Repossessed inventory flows into auctions and is absorbed by a used market where a 5-year-old F-150 or Silverado still commands $30,000 to $45,000. The repo wave is real. The fire sale is not coming. So if sticker prices will not fall and used trucks will not crash, where does the correction actually show up? In the one place Detroit can cut prices without admitting it: incentives. For 3 years after the pandemic, full-size trucks barely needed a discount. That era is ending in plain sight. This summer, both the Ram 1500 and the GMC Sierra 1500 are advertising 0% financing for 60 months, the kind of subsidized money that vanished when inventory was scarce. Cash offers in the several $1,000s range are back on the hood. On slow-moving models, national discounts have reached double digits before a buyer even starts negotiating. And Ford has gone a step further. To keep unsold F-150s moving, it began extending cut-rate financing to buyers with weaker credit. The clearest sign yet, of which Giant is blinking first. Inventory data explains why. New vehicle supply industry-wide is sitting near 76 days, back to pre-pandemic normal, and full-size trucks average around 80. But that average hides the real story, because truck inventory is the most regionally lopsided in the business. Dealers in Texas and the Mountain West are still tight and still holding price. Across much of the Midwest and Northeast, trucks are aging on lots, accruing floor plan interest every single day, and a vehicle that costs a dealer money to keep is a vehicle that dealer will deal on. And if you want proof that truck prices can collapse when the protection disappears, look at the one corner of the market where it already happened: electric pickups. The F-150 Lightning saw sales fall by more than 3/4 year over year. This February, discounts of $5,000 to $10,000 became routine, and Ford ended production of the current generation entirely. No tariff wall, no loyal buyer base, no pricing discipline, and the segment repriced almost overnight. That is what an actual collapse looks like. The gas truck market is not there, and the people who control it intend to keep it that way. Which brings us to the verdict, because all of this data points to a specific playbook, and it is not wait for the crash. The buyer's window is not a date on a calendar. It is a set of conditions, and they are assembling right now. Shop days supply, not sticker price. Target the configurations that are oversupplied, loaded crew cabs sitting in Midwest and Northeast markets, because that is where a dealer's floor plan pain becomes your discount. Time the model year handover, late summer into fall, when 2026 stock has to clear for 2027 production, is when manufacturer cash and dealer desperation stack on the same unit. Stack the money correctly. Cash rebates combined with dealer discounts. Subsidized financing usually does not on a $66,000 truck. Run both calculations before you sign anything. and do not finance away your advantage. An 84-month loan converts a well-timed purchase back into the exact trap this whole correction grew out of. If the payment only works at 7 years, in our view, the truck does not work. Buy the lower trim or buy used, where the average payment runs around $530 a month instead of nearly $800. Here is the one signal we told you to wait for. Through this spring, while automakers slashed discounts across luxury segments by more than 40% in a single month, full-size truck incentives barely moved. Detroit held its discipline on the one product it refuses to devalue. The day that discipline breaks, the day truck incentive spending starts climbing month after month, like every other segment, is the day the correction goes public and the leverage swings fully to the buyer. Watch that line, not the headlines. There is also an exit. Most full-size shoppers never seriously price, dropping a weight class. The average mid-size truck, a Tacoma, a Colorado, a Ranger, transacts around $43,000, roughly $23,000 less than the full-size average. And this summer, several of them carry 0% financing of their own. A compact Ford Maverick starts in the 20s. Unless you tow heavy or haul for a living, the honest question is not whether you can stretch to $66,000. It is what exactly the last $23,000 is buying you. So who should act? If you need a truck and you are flexible on region and trim, this fall is the strongest buyer setup in half a decade, with real discounts, subsidized money, and dealers with aging stock. If you are waiting for a 2008-style fire sale on used pickups, the data says you will be waiting indefinitely. Trucks simply do not depreciate like everything else. The $66,000 truck problem was never really about the truck. It was about the terms. Fix the terms, and the market's correction becomes your discount. Tell us where you stand. What is the most you would actually pay for a new full-size truck in this market? And what did you pay for your last one? Drop the number in the comments. And if this breakdown helped you see through the noise, subscribe. And tell us which vehicle you want us to put under the lens next.